I live in upstate New York, and a few years back, my friends and I decided to recreate one of our favorite shows called Are You Afraid of the Dark? We were going to build ourselves a fire pit out in the woods, throw some logs around it, and tell some scary stories once it became dark, as they did in the show. That day, we went into the woods on the edge of town and found what appeared to be an old path. We decided to follow that because it would make navigating easier once it got dark. After walking for close to 15 minutes, we realized we weren't on a path anymore. Deciding to keep going a little bit further, we ended up stumbling upon what looked like an abandoned campsite. There were a few tents all ripped to shreds, clothes hanging from tree branches, and a couple of those fabric lawn chairs that had also been torn to hell. Thinking it was a perfect setting for what we had planned for later that night, we found a small clearing about 20 or so feet away and started digging out the fire pit and moving the logs into position. As we were doing that, we all noticed the feeling of being watched from over in the direction of that campsite. Chalking it up to our imaginations, we kept going. About an hour or so later, we were done. We got back on the path and headed back to our friend's house until nightfall. Once it hit around 10 p.m., we headed into the woods. It took us a while in the dark to find the path we had used earlier that day, and once we got on it, we had that same feeling of being watched again, this time from what felt like every direction. We only had a cheap flashlight and our phones, so we weren't able to see too far ahead of us. About 5 minutes in, we heard what sounded like a very thick branch get snapped in half. This made us uneasy, but we weren't gonna turn around over a branch. Finally reaching the ripped-up campsite, we made our way into the clearing we had set up our fire pit in and started the fire. We all sat down around it, and my friend John began telling his story. A few minutes into it, I kept hearing what sounded like footsteps running behind me. Thinking it was probably just an animal, I ignored it. Another few minutes pass. John finishes his story. Sam begins telling his, but now the footsteps seem to be coming from different directions, all heading to our clearing. Sam stops talking. We listen in silence. Nothing. It's dead silent. Then all of a sudden, it sounds as though we're surrounded. There's footsteps running on all sides of us. They would come from a distance, then stop at the edge of our clearing, then start again from another direction towards us. We're shining our phones into the woods, but we're not seeing anything. The footsteps keep going, branches are snapping, and leaves are crunching all around us. Something is out there, and it's toying with us. Then once again, silence. Everything feels still. The air feels calm. At this point, we had all moved in closer to one another, and we hear nothing for a good 2 or 3 minutes. Then we hear this high-pitched giggle. It sounded like it came from a little girl. We shine our only flashlight in the direction, and there's the campsite, but there's no one there. At this point, we're huddled together. We begin whispering back and forth, making plans to stomp out the fire and run to the path. Then we'd make run straight out of the woods. We count down 3, 2, 1. We stomp out the fire and we sprint towards the path, making sure not lose sight of one another. Where's Sam? Sam. Sam. We hear nothing. We hear what sounds like someone behind us. It's not Sam. About 30 feet to our left, we hear what sounds like someone falling. We hear Sam yell to us. We run over. He had fallen down a small embankment. We get him up and just aimlessly start sprinting. We must have dropped the flashlight, so the only light we have is the moon above us. We can barely see. We can't find the path. All we hear is the sounds of our breathing and footsteps behind us. So we run and we don't stop. We're lost. Where do we go? We see a clearing up ahead. There's something in it. Getting closer, we see what looks like a stone well with a massive piece of wood covering it. The footsteps stop at the edge of the clearing. The well gives us an uneasy feeling, as though it was covered to keep something in. We take off again, running for what feels like our lives. We finally make it out. We're in a field, with a road at the edge of it. We get halfway through the field, and stop for a second to catch our breath. We'd see whatever had been chasing us from where we were if it came out of the woods, but it didn't. We got onto the road and started walking into town. We got back to our friend's house and realized just how torn up we were. We're all covered in scratches, and Sam was bleeding pretty badly from his tumble, but we were alive. I'm not sure what we encountered that night in the woods, but it was a feeling of fear that I've never experienced before and hope to never experience again. Last summer, I went on vacation to upstate New York with my girlfriend and her lovely family. It was supposed to be a great time since I was staying with my girlfriend, but we get to the cabin and already I am creeped as hell because in the living room there is a picture of an old man staring at whoever looks upon it. I didn't let it get to me as much, so we enjoyed the day. The night rolls along, and I have a feeling in that cabin that I wasn't alone. So, I get in my bed, figuring out if shit's going to happen to me or not. Paranoid, I decide to listen to music to fall asleep. I will admit, I did feel a little touch on my right foot at some point in the night, but nothing else. The next few nights are some of the most terrified I've been in years. The next night, my GF decided to sleep with me, with her parents' approval of course, and I thought, thank God, because I did not like being alone there. So she falls asleep, and I'm wide awake. I start to drift off, until I hear someone shout, "Help!" I flew up and woke up my girlfriend and said, "Did you hear that?" She responded no, so I'm freaking out, because I noticed the direction this cry for help came from. The creepy old man picture. I told her that we are going in the room. My bed was in the living room, so we go in there, and I'm like, okay, good. We are away from that picture. Then I start feeling my feet being tickled. I don't say anything because I already woke my girlfriend up, so I ignore it. Then I lay against the wall because I can't sleep, and then I hear a woman cry from the room over. Just letting you know, her 6'3", 230-pound brother was in that room, so I didn't sleep that night at all. The next day our friends come upstate for a couple days. We are having a great time. Then we decide to mess with the Ouija board. At first nothing was happening. Then we brought up a friend of ours who recently passed away, and then we started hearing this rattling come from my bed. It only did it when we said Andrew, the kid who passed away. While this was happening, we were hearing drawers and movement come from my girlfriend's brother's room. Thinking it was him, we dismissed it until he walked through the door, asking us if we wanted corn on the cob. We asked him was he in his room at all during the time we heard all this, and he was confused and annoyed because he clearly was outside the whole time, so that messed us up. But after all this, our friend's mother, who had no idea any of this stuff was going on, told us she saw a man walk in the cabin and it was none of us or them. So, my girlfriend and I are trying to sleep. She eventually falls asleep, but I can't. I kept feeling like I was being watched. And then something was touching my head, squeezing it, and just not letting go, so I freak out and wake up my girlfriend again, freaking out. This time she stays up with me. Then we wait till sunrise and go to bed. The last night really messed with me. Laying down, trying to sleep, my eyes were shut, but for some reason, I felt a presence of an old man near me, but I can't open my eyes. He was talking to me, saying something on the lines of, "You're not leaving here." So I'm practically shitting myself until I open my eyes, and it was ready to pack up.